Hey guys, so today I'm gonna be doing a reaction video of Just Pearly Things. I think her real name is Hannah or something. I like her. She was on Pierce Morgan and she was debating this feminists on get you guessed it, equal pay, all these pay gap nonsense. Anyway, yeah, she knows how to give feminists a run for their money. So let's check this one out.
Well, joining me in the studio is socialist and author Grace Blakely and YouTube commentator Pearl Davis, both, I would imagine, identifying as provocateurs.
Of course.
Let's talk about this first of all. Pearl, I just find the whole personal pronoun thing honestly absurd.
Oh my god!
My personal pronouns on my Twitter biography are now hot, hotter, hottest, and frankly, if people don't call me those, then they have to be jailed. I go along with that. But I did that to highlight that when I do that and say that, people then accuse me of being ridiculous. I think the whole thing is ridiculous. Why do we need personal pronouns?
We don't need personal pronouns. I don't think it's kind to allow people to live in delusion.
Wait, are you
at the end of the day, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, at the end of the day,
other than
we don't look. We all know what a man and a woman is. Okay, just because you dress like a woman, talk like a woman, act like a woman, it does not make you a woman. And I am so tired of us allowing these people to let us live in delusion. It is delusional to think you are the opposite gender, and it is not kind.
I can't even go on. I love flying British Airways, right? My preferred airline, a wonderful airline, and there always used to be a lovely posh voice saying, "Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Britain." I used to felt soothing.
I know that
I came
voice.
from another country back to Britain.
I fly British Airways too. Every now and then. Yeah, I know the voice he's talking about. Yeah, damn, they changed it. Shit.
I felt immediately at ease. My captain was there, sounding like he was, from some wonderful Pathé news bulletin, and he referred to us as ladies and gentlemen. That's now been banned. They're not allowed to say ladies and gentlemen because there might be one person on the plane who says, "Oh, whoa, hang on. I don't identify as a lady or a gentleman." Well, okay, fine. I don't care, but I do. So where's my right to be called a gentleman?
Here's
Grace.
You know how I feel about this. I'm so bored of it all. I'm so bored of the fact that this is the one item that's constantly coming up over and over and over again. And you can completely see why, right? Conservative governments have destroyed our economy. We're in the middle of a massive climate crisis, just after the hottest week ever. I've just come over from Europe. It's extremely hot. And instead of talking about that, we spend hours and hours and hours talking about pronouns, talking about going into bathrooms, talking about, all of this stuff that just doesn't matter.
Yeah, but you see, it doesn't matter. Hang on. It doesn't matter to you.
I'm so bored.
It doesn't matter to you, but it does matter to women in sport. It does matter to women whose young daughters might be using these dressing rooms. It does matter to the victims of male rapists who see their attackers identify as women to get into women's prisons. Sorry, so when you say they don't matter, they really do matter.
Let's have those issues aired in the appropriate, spaces.
We are.
In sports, have that discussion amongst sports people. But literally, it's about priorities, isn't it? There is a certain number of time that we have on these shows to discuss the issues that matter.
You don't think women's? Hang on, before we come to our next,
I don't think women's sport matters as much as climate change. I think
having a planet
in which we can play sport matters more than the rules.
Does women's equality matter?
I know that could be probably absolutely.
Does women's
insane.
Equality matter to you?
Well, I mean, yeah, of course, but actually, the whole point that I was going to make on this segment actually is that you cannot separate feminism from class issues. If you're just going around saying I don't know, I think the female CEO of a weapons manufacturer should be paid the same as a male CEO, and that's the hill I'm going to die on. I'm not fighting that fight with you because ultimately, what I care about are the struggles that ordinary women face every day.
Well, let's come to the main point of the segment.
Ordinary women play sports. Ordinary women, have their spaces invaded. Ordinary women, have issues with having men invading their spaces. So these are ordinary women's issues. I don't know what the hell she's talking about.
Which is this issue of women's rights to be paid the same as men in sport. Now, the Australian women's football team have criticised the pay gap in the upcoming World Cup prize money. Let's take a look at what they said as a team.
736 footballers have the honour of representing their country on the world's biggest stage, this tournament.
Yet many are still denied the basic right to organise and collectively bargain.
Collective bargaining has allowed us to ensure we now get the same conditions as the Socceroos, with one exception. FIFA will still only offer women 1/4 as much prize money as men for the same achievement.
Well, okay, this is an interesting poll because if you look at the revenue, for example, in 2019, FIFA generated £586 million in total revenue. The men's for the 2019-22 cycle, 5.8 billion. Record revenue through the men's World Cup. So the women's game has come on in leaps and bounds. The English Lionesses, fantastic win, sellout crowds. They're making a lot more money. They're definitely way, way further now towards where the men are commercially than they were, but they're still a way off. Mm-hmm. And when you saw at Wimbledon, for example, the men's final was watched by 3 times as many people, and yet they were both free to air on the BBC. You could watch both if you wanted to. So there was 3 times as much interest in the men's game. They played 2 sets more per match than the women do, and yet the women get equal pay. I'm not quite sure why. I don't think it's a matter of equality. It's just a matter of fairness, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I won. I think all of the women should thank the men for funding our leagues because most of our leagues would not exist without the men, number one. Number two, when we have the same numbers, then we should get the same pay. I'm sorry, I play volleyball at the highest level, and it's like, when we make what the men make and get the crowds that the men draw, then we should get paid the same.
Also, why is it actually a fight for equality, Grace? I mean, why, if women in a particular sport, for example, turned out to generate more revenue, right, because they were more watchable, and in America, the women's football team is better than the men, and they do generate, even at school level, far more interest from girls.
What did he just say? The women's soccer team is better than the men. In which metric? Like from space? What the fuck?
And boys, for example, I don't see why equality should be the aim. Why shouldn't they get paid more than the men?
Well, look, I mean, there are all sorts of problems with the way that this market for labor, and it is basically a market for labor, works. Like, I personally don't think that the top football players in the world should be paid as much as they do. I think it's ridiculous, the amount.
That's market force.
Exactly. It's market forces.
Well, why shouldn't they get that?
Be the way that we decide, you know, who generates what? Personally, I'm very much in favor of the fact that they came out there and said collective bargaining. Ultimately, like, the average worker in this country hasn't had a pay rise in over a decade. How is that going to change? That's going to change when they organise with one another.
I am so tired of women whining.
Mate,
it's
the only
like
person whining at the moment is you.
Literally, the men fund our leagues, and we will still whine that we don't get paid enough. And honestly, when athletes do shit like this, it makes all of us look bad. Because instead of being thankful for the league that we have, we go out and whine and complain about the pay.
I mean, as I said, I'm not whining. You sound like you're maybe doing a bit of whining. But like, personally, I don't think we should be whining. I think people should be organising. If you want a pay increase, join a union, get out there and fight for it.
Should the women footballers get the same as the men?
Yeah, I think it probably makes sense.
Even if they're not making anything like the revenue?
Ultimately, like, it's not going to change. It's not going to change unless they organise. That's actually true across every sector.
How much?
If you want a pay rise, join a union and fight for one.
Let me ask you this, though. They have got unions.
Exactly.
Let me ask you this. On talent alone, for example, as a yardstick, the US women's football team were beaten by a group of under 15 boys from Texas, right? Who were very good, under 15 boys, but their under 15 boys team beat them, I think, about 8-9-0 or something. So why should women footballers, who are clearly nowhere near as good as their male counterparts, just technically, why should they get paid anything like as much money?
Well, I mean, you know, it sucks, doesn't it? That, like, as a woman, okay, you play volleyball. I'm a surfer. I absolutely love surfing. It's very hard for women to build up a body strength. This is something that I've learned very much the hard way. And so,
surfers, by the way, there is equal pay.
Yeah, there is. And actually, you know, it's one of those sports where
can a woman be as good as a man or not?
Well, it's different. It's a different sport, really. It's not.
Then you want to be paid.
Sport,
it's a different sport, but you want to be paid exactly what the men are earning. You want to be paid what Ronaldo, Messi is earning. You are insane. You got beat by 15-year-olds. What? It's not even 15-year-olds. Under 15-year-olds. And you're telling me that you want to earn what Ronaldo, Messi, what these top players are earning? You want to earn that because what? You got a coochie? Get out of here.
Different watching a woman surf than is watching a man surf, because the average male body is different from the average woman, like woman's body, for all these.
But is there
sorts of
any
reasons.
actual technical reason why a woman can't do with a surfboard what a man can do?
Yeah, there's loads of reasons. Like, it is about the upper body strength. It's about like the way that the body is built.
So should women surfers at the elite level get the same as men?
But like, again, I think it just is different. Like, it's a different kind of game, and people watch it.
Oh, you're shaking your head.
No, I just think when we start making the same amount of money as the men, then we should get paid the same as the men. I don't hear the men whining about OnlyFans models getting paid more than them. I don't hear the men whining about models getting paid more than them. Kendall Jenner is the highest paid supermodel. Where are the male supermodels? But whenever men dominate in an industry, women will just complain.
I mean, I don't know if that's true about OnlyFans, because there are a lot of men on OnlyFans as well. But I mean, look, the main point
You
here.
think they make the same?
I have no idea, but like, maybe
then
if you
why were
averaged
you-
out the number of men and women that are on that website. Anyway, look, the main point here, the point that I came on here that I wanted to make was that the problem that we have in our economy at the moment is not that like the average football player isn't paid the same as the average man. It is probably an injustice, and I'm glad that they're organizing and working together to fight for that. But ultimately, the problem we have in our economy is that nobody's getting paid enough money because inflation's eroded people's wages. Even before that, no one had a pay rise in a really long time. And the lesson from this is, as I've said, I'm going to say it again because it's an important lesson, and no one knows about them anymore because they see them as a hangover from 1970s. Join a union, because otherwise your boss is going to walk.
But there are unions for all these. It's the unions that are fighting for them.
Exactly.
But just as a general point, though, the principle you think that women should get paid the same, even if they're not as technically as good and not producing as much revenue.
It's a subjective judgment, isn't it, on whether or not they're like technically as good?
Well, not really.
No, it's not.
Because people watch men and women's sports for different reasons.
Well, let me give you an example. An example would be the Olympics. If you made it non-gender specific, how many women would win medals?
Well, I mean,
none.
Okay.
Maybe in equestrian and maybe in shooting, I think, are the
but
two.
Again, I think
where there's no sense that the men might win.
You can say like, oh, this group is better than this group. But again, I think it's different.
Men are better than women at sports. Yes, let's not live in this delusion.
And in most cases, Grace, more people, men and women, want to watch men play sport.
Correct.
That's just a demonstrable fact. That may change. And my point is, if it changes, I don't see why equality should be the only ambition for the women. If it turns out that in some sport, women get more viewers watching and therefore draw more revenue, I'm all for them getting more money than the men.
Can you name 5 WNBA players? 5 female soccer players?
I mean, I can't name any soccer players
That's
already.
crazy. I wish we had the support from the feminists. We would get equal pay if we would just get the support from the feminists.
Well, let me tell you.
Name 5.
Let me tell you.
I mean, if all these women that are complaining about pay gap, actually they came to watch the games, maybe. Well, there's no chance anyway. But they don't even watch sports, but they want equal pay. Oh man, these people, they drive me crazy.
You know what the WNBA is?
We need our support.
You're asking the wrong person.
Yeah, you really are.
But I do want to mention one thing, which is I had Dale Vince on the program. He's been funding Just Stop Oil. And also, he was very, very keen to show his feminist credentials because he owns a football team. And he had just hired the first female manager of a football team. But there was a slight problem.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that
He
story.
only made her the caretaker. And I saw a potential flaw here. So let's see what went down when I interviewed him. You didn't think by appointing the first female caretaker manager of a professional men's team, you would get any attention?
She's the best candidate for the job at the club. This is what happens. You look at within the club, you find your best coach and you say, take the team in an interim period while
a woman. Oh, this is a publicity stunt. I would assume this is a publicity stunt. Yeah, the first female coach of men's sport. Oh, Jesus Christ. People and this wokeness, like, oh God, man.
We do a proper recruitment process. That's all that's happening here. Why do you keep coming back to that?
Because she's
If you
only
look
a
at our record
caretaker.
of appointments,
She's only a caretaker.
look at our record of
So
appointments.
if you believed in her that much, you'd have
Look at
made her
the record
manager. You've got all
of
the
appointments.
publicity, but actually
No,
she's
no,
not
no.
got the full
That's
job.
not how it works.
And I suspect what's
It's
going to
not-
happen is you're going
I
to
thought
go
you
find.
understood football.
You're going to probably go and find a bloke to replace her, and then you're going to
Exactly.
have to deal with that.
I thought you understood football, Piers.
I do. I'm an
I thought
Arsenal
you
fan.
did.
Well, you might be massively unsurprised to learn that 12 days later, Hannah Dinkley has been removed from her job as caretaker manager and replaced by a man. Yeah, Dale talked a good game on feminism and women's rights and boasted about it and got all the publicity. And in the end, he got rid of her after 12 days and put a bloke in charge. And you can make your own view about Mr. Vince for doing that. Lovely to see you both. Thank you both very much indeed.
Oh man. Oh my God. Listen. I mean that last video he showed was really funny. People and these diversity quotas, like honestly, I think it's even almost a disrespect. Like you bring in a female coach in a like, could you imagine a chick coaching Messi, Ronaldo? Could you imagine a chick going to maybe Chelsea? I don't know if you guys are the football fan. I'm a football fanatic. No, you guys call it soccer. Yeah, I'm a soccer fanatic. I watch, a Premier League. Yeah, I'm really into sports like that. But yeah, it's just all this woke nonsense. Oh, let's bring in the first female head coach. Well, they didn't make her head coach. They just wanted the publicity for it. It's insane. But yeah, Pearl gave that feminist, a run for her. The thing that with all these feminists is, especially with this pay gap in sports, we want equal pay in sport. It doesn't even make any sense because everything that that lady said, had no logic in it. How are you going to demand for equal pay when you're not as good, when you're not even half as good? You're not even half as good. Not even. But you want equal pay. How does that even make any sense in the realm of any reality? Who the hell watches female like? I mean, I don't mean to sound sexist, but who watch people that are anyone that is going to watch this video? How many times have you tuned into a female tennis, soccer, basketball? Like, how many people watch it? But you're demanding equal pay for what? Anyway, yeah, that was a good video. I always love seeing Piers. I always love seeing Pearl, and anyway, that's all my thoughts. If you like that video, please hit the like button, hit the share button, leave the comments down below. I love to, read your comments. And then if you may, please subscribe. Yeah, have a good night.